Hello, Trojan fans. Welcome to another edition of the Peristyle Podcast on a Thursday. We got a special edition of the podcast. We got a special guest, former USC Trojan wide receiver Travon Patterson is going to join us in just a minute. We're also going to talk about USC spring football, what's been going on around. And last week we were recording, and Duce Robinson, the five-star tight end from Arizona, was on the verge of making his college decision. He did end up committing to USC, so we're going to talk about that with Chris Trevino. He'll be here in a second. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can drop us an email, podcast@uscfootball.com, or you can call or text us at 424-254-9141. You can also follow us over on the Apple Podcasting app or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you do have the Apple Podcasting app, leave us a 5-star review and a rating, and it really does help to grow the show. We did have a new rating over there on the Apple Podcasting app. So this is Joaquin, the Dodgers dude. He says, I'm not going to lie, I was skeptical at first. When I came across the show on YouTube, I gave it a chance, and I've loved it since. I currently have my notifications on and listen while I'm at work. Keep up the good work, fellas. Well, thank you for that review, and it does help to grow the show if you have a chance to send us a review over there. But I want to bring in, we got a special guest here, so we'll do a little 3-shot. Trayvon Patterson here. They're right there in the middle. You can follow him on Twitter at Travon Patterson, joining along with Chris Trevino as well. Trayvon, thanks for coming on, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Chris, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad we got some more Long Beach in the house. Former Long Beach Poly great. I currently live in Long Beach, so we're outnumbering you today.
For sure. Yeah, that's. You guys have that Long Beach connection there.
Synergy, I feel it.
I feel it too. I feel it.
But Chris has been covering USC for the last 6 years or so. So they didn't, Trayvon and Chris didn't really cross paths there. But if you guys recall, big-time recruit out of Long Beach Poly High School, class of 2006, played in all the games as a freshman. All but UCLA game, I think, is his freshman year, and then redshirted. Was it redshirt sophomore year? And then 2008, you were in 11 more games at USC, and then end up transferring over to Colorado and play there in 2010 for your senior season. Got to try out with the Chargers, a little Canadian football stuff, but long football there career, Trayvon. But we appreciate you coming on, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff from your USC career, but. Welcome in. What's been going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just I got some new going on for myself now. I just got involved in real estate.
Okay.
I joined the team here at Nationwide Real Estate. Partner with the CEO, Daryl Owens. He actually discovered Nationwide Real Estate. He was one of the top realtors before he discovered Nationwide Real Estate in the country. So, I have that going on now, and I just want to connect back with my SC family, SC community, and let them know what I have going on nowadays.
That's cool. Now, are you still, how involved are you in the football world? Are you still doing anything in football related?
Well, I've been training. I have a few nephews that I've been training. I have a nephew named Jaden Coley. He's going to high school next year. I have another nephew named Zion Anderson. He's still 7th grade. He'll be touching high school in the next 2 years. They're one of the top players in their classes. So you guys will be looking out for them soon. I'm pretty sure SC will definitely be reaching out to them soon because they're that good. They play receiver as well. So
nice. All right, and then just stuff with Long Beach Poly. Chris is over there all the time. So Chris, how often you're at Long Beach?
I live up the road from there, so I'm right off Atlantic. So it's a nice little drive.
Yeah.
No, I'm most definitely connected with Long Beach Poly as well. I speak to the coaches often. More involved. I'm trying to get more involved now in terms of trying to get Poly back to its dominance. They had a great year last year. just like SC. So I think that it's an exciting year for Poly football and USC football as well. So I'm excited about it all.
So Chris is one of our recruiting guru guys around the site, and I just want to kind of go back to the recruiting process for you. This is like height of the Pete Carroll era. You're looking through. The team had won like 34 games in a row. Long Beach Poly, some studs coming out of there that end up at USC. Like, what was the recruiting process for you back then when making your decision to go to USC?
It was exciting, man. I was just blessed to be in that position. To even have SC interested in me at the time. We was one of the top programs in the country at the time. Just losing the national championship to Texas the year before, but it was exciting, man. And just being able to have Pete Carroll come in and have interest in me was exciting as well. I know at that time I was interested in SC and Oregon at the time, and it was just SC was the dream school of mine, so it was a no-brainer for me to go to SC at the time, and I'm happy I made the decision as well.
There was you had a teammate, right? Was it Austin? Who was the?
Terrence Austin. Yeah. He went over to UCLA. Yeah.
He ended up going to UCLA, right? Yeah. Did you try to get him to go to SC, or what was I think they were recruiting him too, right?
Yeah, they were recruiting him as well. I tried, but I mean, he had other things he wanted to do in terms of getting on the field right away, and he did that at UCLA.
Yeah, well, I think you got the upper hand overall, so that was good. Nice. Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good that you're still involved with Long Beach Poly. There were so many guys coming out. I know at one point Long Beach Poly had like the most alumni that have played in the NFL.
Right. I think that's still true today.
Is that still true? Yeah. Being involved there, but it's good. Some of the traditional powers we've seen it shift a little bit. You've seen just come and go, but Poly was always one of those schools that you just wanted to get guys out of all the time, and we haven't seen it. Like the Juju Smith-Schusters and guys more recently, but haven't seen as many, I guess, lately. But hopefully they can, the Jackrabbits get that tradition going again.
Oh no, most definitely. I think we have the talent returning back to the Funk House. We have a few recruits there now. We had the Robinsons. We had Dylan Williams, who's both actually committed to SC at the time. I think they decommitted. I'm not sure why, but we actually getting the athletes back now. I mean, it's tough because of the private school and the way that things are going now. It's hard to compete with them and what they offer to the kids and the families. But I think that as a public school, we're still one of the top schools here in the country. And like I said, we got myself coming back. I believe Deshaun Jackson is trying to come back and get involved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we had the alumni. We still come back out. We still talk to the kids. We try to give advice. Steer them in the right direction. And just be there for their support because they're definitely gonna need us at this time. So I think Poly is back on the map, and I just want everybody to know that.
What was there overlap with you and Deshaun Jackson? What year? I forget what year he was.
Deshaun graduated in 2005, so he was a year before I was.
Year before you. It's funny. I remember. He was going to go to USC for a long time, right? And then ends up going to Cal. And I want to get your thoughts on Ed Orgeron because he's one of the best recruiters we've seen around, right? And when I was down at I think it was the Senior Bowl in like Mobile, Alabama, when Ed Orgeron had like been fired from Ole Miss, and Deshaun Jackson's family walks by, and they were like just gushing over Orgeron. Like it would have been like he was the guy that recruited Deshaun Jackson the most, and he didn't end up going to USC. It's just he still had that effect on people. So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on kind of the guys recruiting like that and what they bring to the table.
Well, Coach O, man, he has a ton of energy. When I first entered to SC, my freshman year, I think Coach O had left, but he came back with Coach Kiffin at the end, so I was able to experience him at that time. But he has a ton of energy, man. I mean, it's hard not to believe in things that he's saying, just buy into his system. He holds you accountable, and he just makes things fun too, man. So I loved his energy, and I'm pretty sure everyone else loves his energy as well. So I understand why Deshaun and his family was definitely attracted to him.
Yeah.
And what he had to offer.
Adrian Hobbs in the chat says Funk House, baby. So nice.
There we go, Adrian.
Yeah. Chris, what are you seeing from Long Beach Poly now? Are you seeing more, Power 5 guys coming through there and more guys USC will be recruiting?
Absolutely. I mean, the talent pipeline felt like it had been turned off for something, but now they've turned it back on. You have those local kids starting to flow into 1600 Atlantic Avenue again. And, you know, as Trayvon mentioned with the Trinity schools like Bosco and Mater Dei, and they have made it difficult. And then the Moore League had a new rule where it made it difficult for kids that would normally be going to Poly to go there. They were just kind of, it just had to do with where you were living in the district and where you go. So that kind of shifted things around for the kids that were enrolling in Poly, but definitely getting a lot more Power 5 guys. You know, Dylan Williams, as you mentioned, the Austins, they're starting to produce Power 5 guys once again. So it's really nice to see the Jackrabbits returning to the top of the SoCal power football rankings.
Yeah, it's good for you because you could cover guys right in your backyard. So, like, I'm pretty close to Sarah, so it was fun. I used to go to Sarah quite a bit. But if you can just, like, you can walk to Long Beach Poly, man, that's good for your job. You don't have to drive all over the place. Like, oh, let's drive out to, like, Corona or something to see a kid. Like, just go to Poly right down the street.
I don't know about walk, but definitely take one of those bird scooters. You know, I could scoot down there.
Nice. We're with former USC. Let me put up his Twitter handle again. Trayvon Patterson. Follow him on Twitter at Trayvon Patterson. Doing real estate now, so if you guys have real estate needs in that area, make sure you reach out to him and for there and you help him out a little bit. I wanted your time at SC. Is there a couple games or a couple plays or just a couple like of your best memories kind of coming from your time around USC?
My experience, I had a lot of fun at SC, man. Made a lot of connections. It was just fun, just being able to be under Coach Carroll, man, and understand his philosophy. I learned a lot from him. I played more so my freshman year. I had the opportunity to be one of the top 3 receivers my sophomore year before I broke my toe. But, it was just competitive, and I loved the competition. And in the situation I was in, I experienced a lot of injuries there, so it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. But I think that I did leave an image for myself there at SC with the fans just by, competing at a high level, them being able to know me through, the practices, the spring games. One of the memories I had for the most part was my first catch against Arkansas from Mark Sanchez. I went out at the 1-yard line. I actually thought I scored, but I guess the ball didn't cross the pylon at the time. But that was a highlight of mine. But from there, I just enjoyed my time there.
That was that the Coliseum game or was that the one at Arkansas?
It was the one at Arkansas.
Okay, yeah. Well, you guys put like 1,000,000 points against them 2 years in a row, so it was kind of Arkansas just got absolutely. They got boat raced, right?
Before they played against Matt Liner and them in 2005, and then we played them. That was at home, and then the following year we played them in Arkansas.
Yeah. Mark Sanchez. You still keep in touch with Mark? I mean, it's great to see his success out there.
I haven't spoke to Mark anytime soon, but I'm definitely following him and seeing what he's doing. I see he's covering college football now, so I'm excited for that. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, you see him around like golf tournaments or anything around. Do you do much stuff with the Trojan football alumni and some of those events that they do?
I haven't, but I'm looking forward to getting back involved. I was actually working. I was a probation officer. Now I'm transitioning over to the real estate side. So now that I have my schedule open, I'm just more so looking to get more involved within the Trojan community and attending different events.
Yeah, you got to do those networking things. A lot of fun golf tournaments. I don't know if you're a golfer, but
I tried a few times. I wasn't too good at it, but with practice, I'll get better.
Yeah, there's it's fun. Some former players like really get into it and they really want to play, and then other guys are just absolutely garbage and they're terrible. But it's fun to go see. It's fun to go see some of the guys out there. The Sean Codys and they're fun out on the tournament scene and everything. So, but the team now, I don't know. For 7-8 years they were not that. Pretty mediocre at best, and then hiring Lincoln Riley in November of 2021, things just everything changed, and I don't know how much you were following the team then or opposed to now, but it's kind of get your thoughts on where Trojan football was and kind of where it's going right now.
I was definitely following them before then. I mean, before we are now. Like I said, I was always a SC fan since I was about 7 years old, so I'm still following them, even though the things weren't going as planned. And I think we're back to the prominence, man. I think we're back to the era when we was winning national championships. It was tough to watch them as we took that hit from the sanctions and taking them the L's. But I think we regroup now, and it's exciting to just be, committed to excellence again. I mean, they're doing a great job. Lincoln Riley came in, turned the program around in just 1 year, and actually getting a lot of recruits to come back to SC and getting transfer portal, and we're one of the top recruits in the transfer portal. So it's definitely exciting to see them back.
Do you kind of follow along on Twitter a lot, or where do you sort of follow along besides USCfootball.com, obviously, because I'm sure that's where you go all the time.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Yeah, USCfootball.com. I follow there. I do more so on Instagram as well.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff.
I can follow the USC athletics page, so I get updated a lot on what's going on.
Are you a TikTok guy?
Well, no, I'm not.
All right. Chris is doing our TikTok page, so
Okay.
he's been get some views on there. Some big videos, Chris.
Trying
Yeah.
to do it.
I have to tune in.
Yeah, you have to check it out. Yeah, and you're going to go to the spring game. Is that your plan?
I
next
plan to go to the
Saturday?
spring game on the 15th. Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, so it should be a lot of former players and stuff there. I think last year there was a good amount of buzz, and what was it, Chris? Like 30,000 people or something came last year.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Now that team wins 11 games, you got a Heisman Trophy winner coming back. I'm thinking there's gonna be a lot of people looking for like autographs from Caleb Williams and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah, it's funny. You almost forget about the Heisman because there's 11 wins is great. Didn't win the conference, didn't win your bowl game, but there's sort of like this stamp of approval, when you win a major award like the Heisman Trophy. It just
Right.
it sort of like changes things. I don't know. I mean, no more Heisman's like by the time that you were around there, but I mean, just that fresh off of just a couple seasons ago having a Heisman Trophy winner, or the season before you were there, it must kind of legitimize the program a little bit.
No, it definitely does. It brings that excitement back. It shows us that we're doing something right. It shows that we're headed in the right direction. You got to just be able to rebound off that Heisman year and just repeat what you did from the year before and improve. So I think that this year I expect us to do better than we did last year and actually enter into the college playoffs.
Yeah. We had a question. Let me pull this up for you. This is from Midwest Trojan. He was in the chat, so thanks for putting a question for Trayvon. He said, if you could make one change with USC football, what would you like to see?
Right now, I mean, that's a tough question, man, because I think that the change was bringing in Lincoln Riley, and he changed the program immediately right away. It's tough, man. Honestly, I like what they're doing right now. So I can't really say I would like to change anything. Probably the defense. Man. I mean, I think the defense gave up a lot last year. We can improve on that part, but I think we're doing a great job. And I know it's bigger than just the defensive coordinator and things like that. So the players got to buy in too. But I think we can just make more stops. I think that we'd be better off.
You played for obviously a legendary head coach in Pete Carroll. USC in 2021 is 4-8. And they hire a proven head coach, and you're instantly an 11-win team, and you win a Heisman. It's different now because you can rebuild programs easier through the transfer portal, or just faster, I guess. But
right.
And I was preaching to Trayvon for years. I was just like, hey, USC's in this mediocre place because you don't have an alpha head coach. You need someone that's just a dog. He's going to run the program, and he's going to do it right, and you're going to instantly win. All those decisions from behind the scenes, like how important is it in college football just to have a really good head coach that gets it and does all the right things? Probably a lot of stuff that we don't see as media and fans outside the program, but every day behind the scenes, they're doing all these things that are building you up in the offseason to make it so you can win games in the fall.
It's very important, man, because you got to have the team behind you and believing in you. And then once the team understands that you're sacrificing your own time and you're holding them accountable and that you believe and trust in them, they'll give it back to you. And I think that's what Lincoln Riley is doing. I think that's exactly what Pete Carroll did when we were there. We believed in him so much, man. And his energy, how he was passionate about the game, passionate about his players, holding us accountable, making us work hard in the offseason. The practices were scripted and, the periods were very intense, and just having the team around you and having the right players around you, just building that camaraderie, that's very important, and that's why you see those programs winning a lot.
Yeah. Kirsten, do you have something? Or?
Yeah, just as someone who was, a former high-profile recruit and played during, a great era of USC football, and someone who transferred as well, I just was wondering what your thoughts were on the new NIL rules for players that can, make money off their name, image, and likeness now, and just your thoughts on, the whole transfer portal and how it's changed college football, if you have any thoughts on those two big picture things.
I actually like the NIL deal. I mean, I think it gives, the players an opportunity to get their name out there, be heard. Like before, not many people knew, but, obviously we used to walk around campus and we had, big names and people used to look up to us and, asking for autographs and things like that. But we couldn't really do anything for ourselves, man. It was just tough just to live on a day-to-day basis. So them implementing the NIL and giving, players the opportunity to be comfortable in a sense to play better, work out better, and just knowing where their next meal is gonna come. Because many times, you get a check and then probably 2 days later, you calling home trying to get some money just so that you can get a meal, get some gas in your car, and things like that. So I think it's great that they implemented the NIL deal because it's gonna give people an opportunity to even set themselves up outside of football when football is over. Not everybody's going to go to the NFL. So you got players that been able to, have enough money to just set themselves up outside of football when it's all over, even after college, man. That just gives them a breathing room just to get their life together. So I think that was great to implement that. The transfer portal, I like that as well. It just gives, lower end school, not lower, I wouldn't say lower end, but kids that are attending schools that have like a D1 AA, D2, gives them an opportunity to transfer into higher programs and be seen. So I like that as well. So I think I love everything what they're doing with college football right now.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would have made, your life easier, right? If there was a database and for, going to, I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't end up in Colorado, maybe you end up somewhere else, but
right.
You don't sit out and all that kind of stuff too. So it's a little bit different now, but I mean, there's more power to the players, I guess, right? You can make money, you can switch schools easier, where before it seemed like everything was slanted against the players.
Right. I mean, it can get tricky too, because I mean, sometimes you can get lost in the portal as well. So you got to just be cautious about what you're trying to do. Just have a good team around you, have a good plan in terms of what you want to do when you're moving forward and you're trying to transfer. Make sure that it works out best for you, because everything don't work out how you plan. So you just got to be strategic in terms of what you're trying to do when you enter to that portal.
All right. Well, Trayvon Patterson, former USC wide receiver, Long Beach Poly, just an absolute stud from down there, a legend. And the Long Beach Poly is a jackrabbit. And, hopefully you and Chris can bump into each other down there.
Right.
But thanks for coming on. We appreciate you coming on and sharing some insights.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. And then anyway, so you can follow him on Twitter at Trayvon Patterson. Any other way you want people to get a hold of you?
Instagram, T_Patterson as well. And,
okay.
Again, SC community, if you have any real estate needs, man, don't hesitate to reach out. I love to show you how I can bring value to your family.
Very cool. All right. Well, Trayvon, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Fight on.
All right. Take care. Great to hear from Trayvon. That was cool stuff. Appreciate him coming on. Yeah, you'd never crossed paths, huh? With
No, can't say that I have, but I hope I do now. Down in the 1600 Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you want to see more dudes from SC coming on, coming from like schools like that where you're used to that, right? You knew where these guys were coming from and, what they brought to the table. We just haven't seen, what was the last Poly guy that was at SC? Like there was do you remember? Was it since you've covered the team? Has there been anybody?
Juju was on the team, but since
Juju, I'm trying to think.
Since Juju, like a new Poly commit, I feel like I'm blanking on someone, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, Matt Corral was at Poly, but obviously he did not go to USC. I don't think he was committed when he was at Poly. There was Jake Garcia was at Poly for a brief time.
That's true.
Wasn't committed though. No, obviously they were involved in Dalen Austin. Dylan Williams, the former USC commit. Ashari Crosswell, I know they had offered him, but he did not end up going. Went to ASU. So off the top of my head, I don't think there's been a Iman Marshall, obviously. Jack Jones. Jack Jones might have been the last one that I can remember.
Yeah, okay.
He might have been like the overlap for me when I just got there. So Jack Jones might be the technicality. But outside of that, I cannot remember anyone else.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Someone in the chat, Vince in the chat said Jack Jones. But it'd be good to see that coming back. I mean, if you're like early Pete Carroll era, like they started building a lot of dudes from Poly, and what was the Mercedes Lewis coming out of that. Like there was a huge, Darnell Bing, there were a whole bunch of dudes that were like big time recruits coming out of that. Herschel Dennis, they had the Poly 5, and 4 of them ended up going to SC back in the day. So yeah, we've had Darnell Bing on the show. We've had some Jackrabbits as guests, so that's good. But yeah,
we're friend of the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, I mean that's your hood. You gotta. I wish Miracosta could get some more dudes, but not really. Not really that.
In
level.
an ideal world for Ryan.
I would just go. I'll cover more high school if I go to. If I can just go to Miracosta. Well, we got to get some. I guess it's not really. Let me find where the thing is.
You're gonna do the breaking news.
Yeah. Boo, 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 boo. There's this dude, Deuce Robinson, 5-star tight end. USC called him a wide receiver too, but out of Phoenix, Arizona,
Pinnacle
High School, going to USC, probably unless he goes and plays baseball. But Chris, wanted to kind of get your thoughts on. We were talking about it a little bit last week, and then the announcement happened. You guys did a composite 2-star recruits podcast and sort of gave some scenarios about him committing, and then within hours he did. So you didn't delay your show or anything, because I think that was been bad luck before. But yeah, give us some thoughts on Deuce committing.
And just a quick plug, we did drop a new composite 2-star recruits this morning, almost 4 hours, and a big part of that is because we had our first guest, Shotgun Spratling. He came on the show, and we spent an hour just talking about Duce Robinson and baseball and that potential next step for Deuce and what that looks like. Now, Lincoln Riley, talked about on Saturday. He was obviously asked a lot about Deuce Robinson. Now that he's signed, he can talk about him. And this long recruitment, 3.5 years. But I feel like it still has to go a little bit longer. Now, Lincoln Riley was very confident that Deuce Robinson was going to play football for USC next year. And whether that means he's going to sign a professional contract with an MLB team. Let's say he's drafted in the 4th round. He'll sign with them, play football, and then in his off time from football, will try to play minor league baseball, kind of like what Russell Wilson did back when he was at NC State and then later Wisconsin. So that's one path. And the other path, if he doesn't sign, he doesn't like the money that's being offered, drafted outside of the 10 rounds or something, he can play both USC baseball and USC football, which would obviously be a big boost for the baseball team. But Shotgun breaks all of that down. It's a very interesting dynamic. He is listed as a tight end by all major recruiting services, 6'6", 34 pounds, 240 pounds, but listed as a wide receiver by Lincoln Riley in that little graphic they put out. And Lincoln Riley went out and said, I don't really see him as a tight end, and which is fair. Deuce Robinson is a unique body type, a rare athlete that, probably is better than any position you can put him in. You can't put him in a box as a tight end or wide receiver. He's just a guy who you can move all around the field, find those matchups. He's a mismatch in the slot. He's a terror on the outside. Maybe you can even put him in the backfield a little, whatever. He's that good of an athlete. He played Wildcat quarterback at Pinnacle, led the team with 1,400 yards, I think like 16 touchdowns, something like that. Just an all-around athlete. Obviously, a potential high draft pick for Major League Baseball. He's just a real big weapon that USC's offense did not have physically 6'6". You got 6'4" Jacoby Lane coming in. Walker Lyons, he mentioned as well when he gets here in 2024. USC has gotten bigger in their pass catching room, whether that's a tight end, wide receiver, whatever. They are bigger, and that was something they really wanted to attack with this high school class, and that was something that Lincoln Riley mentioned. They got a lot of speed in that room. They've added a lot of quote-unquote juice in that room. Zachariah Branch, Mekhi Lemon, Raleek Brown, fast guys. Now they've got some size to go with those quicker guys. Now it's just a better combination of guys they can throw out there, really stress a defense. We have this super guy, fast guy in the slot. Oh, we have a 6'6" guy on the other side. So it's a lot of stress on the defense, and that's always what you want to look for with an offense, and keep tinkering, keep adding. I think we'll see more wrinkles now that Deuce is there, now that they have more of an H-back kind of body with Carson Tabarachi at that position now. They can do a lot more, and Lincoln's going to probably expand the offense from what we've seen last year. Another weapon for Caleb Williams. This is a huge addition, and again, the composite two-star recruits, we talk about it for like 2 hours, Deuce Robinson, about that potential and what it means for just getting bigger on the front in terms of run blocking, having a 6'6" guy who can power block out there. So go listen to that. Go into much detail than what I can get on this show. But yeah, it's a huge win for USC and puts them back at the top of the Pac-12 high school recruiting rankings and overall rankings, which is the first time since 2018 since USC has had the number 1 class in the Pac-12, which is crazy to think about.
Yes.
Crazy to think about, and probably something that should never have happened, but here we are. They broke a 5-year drought of not having the number 1 class in the Pac-12.
Yeah. Getting Deuce is a big deal. And, to be fair, Lincoln Riley was talking about, he doesn't see him as like an every down tight end. Like, it's not like he's not going to play, but it's going to be more that big sort of outside wide receiver in the
flex
slot
tight
kind
end
of
as
thing.
well, like we want to call it.
Yeah.
He's the new age tight end, where he's less tight end, more wide receiver, but also more tight end than wide receiver. It's just a hybrid, kind of in the middle kind of guy.
Yeah, and maybe similar to what we saw Drake London play, when he was like a freshman, and we're sort of like playing around with that. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe some high production in the red zone. I just don't see him being a volume pass catcher just because there's so many options. But it'll be curious to see sort of where his specialty ends up being, if it is in the red zone and he has kind of a higher percentage of touchdowns to catches.
Throw that fade ball, baby. Throw that fade ball. You got Jacoby Lane, pogo stick, 6'4", can catch to the best of them. Put him in the fade ball, but also Deuce Robinson's fast. Don't sleep on Deuce Robinson being, a down the field threat. He's not obviously Zachariah Branch fast or whatever, but he's an athlete. He can get down the field and outrun some defenders. So he could definitely be a field stretcher in that sense too.
It was funny being in Hawaii back in January and watching those two guys on the field. And, it's a group of high school prospects that are all highly ranked. But some guys just sort of like stand out. Like if you didn't know diddly about stuff, you would just look at that and go,
I want that guy.
That guy looks like he's really freaking good at whatever he's doing. And like Zachariah Branch is like one of those dudes. And Deuce Robinson didn't show up till I think day 2 or something for practice. And, he towers over everybody. You're like, oh, yeah, I think I want that guy, And so a couple of dudes that you just look at compared to other really top high school prospects, without knowing anything, you'd say, yeah, I'll take those two guys.
Give me those guys. And look, USC is getting those guys once again.
Yeah.
Getting those guys where you look on a football field like, okay, that's a dude.
Yeah.
Getting more of those guys. Need more of those guys on defense. Let's be honest. But they're still building that. They got one. Anthony Lucas, you look at him like, I want that guy. Tacky Curtis, you look at that guy like, I want that guy. Braylon Shelby, when he comes here in the summer, you look at that guy like 6'6" off the edge. Yeah, I want that guy.
I think he'd be good.
They're getting more of those guys. They still need more on the defensive side of the ball.
For sure. Keep it with the tight ends this week in practice. So USC is going to practice a little bit later. We're recording this live. It is, what is it?
Are we live?
We're live.
Oh my God.
Thursday afternoon. And in a couple hours, they'll start practice. I guess right now it's 1:35 or whatever. Yeah. How many? Do we have 100 degenerates
yet? A degenerate count.
We're like 83 degenerates.
Okay.
So not bad. But coming up, hopefully you guys are enjoying the live show if you're watching us live. But yeah, we'll be at practice a little bit later today. But on Tuesday, we got to hear from Zach Hansen, who is the tight ends coach. Lincoln Riley talked about Carson Tabarachi a little bit more. the tight end depth has sort of been a topic almost every time we hear from Lincoln Riley. And, we heard from Lincoln Riley on Saturday talking about Duce Robinson. Also, Zach Hansen talked about, Deuce Robinson and recruiting him and how he makes the team better and all of that. So tight end talk has been a sort of a big thing the last couple of weeks around USC, Chris.
Right. And this is interesting for me as a former tight end. Played that in youth league. Let's go. Shout out to 88, my number. But if you listen to the Family Feud podcast, RIP, love that podcast. I literally bought every ounce of tight end stock every year. Every offseason, I would buy tight end stock. And I probably, put 2,000 metaphorical dollars into that. I'm down big, Ryan. I'm down bad in terms of the stock that I bought in the tight end group and how it's depreciated terribly. But now I feel like I'm at a point where I can start to get my metaphorical money back in the tight end group because yes, they're thin, but I like the direction that it's going, with Lake McCree being a guy who can contribute. Obviously, Duce Robinson is a guy who we just talked about. Jude Wolfe is going to come back healthy, presumably, but you got Carson Tabaracci as the H-back who could do a lot of things. Good athlete, running back, catch out of the backfield, block, and then Cade Eldridge, who is a sleeper pick for a guy who can come in and, hey, let's see what this guy can do. Played at a small school in Washington, so maybe the competition level's not right there, but who knows? We've seen guys come in and be like, hey, this guy's going to play right away. Maybe Cade is in that position, especially for a position group that doesn't have a lot of depth right now. Walker Lyons coming in 2024. Tight end group on the upswing, I would say. But Carson Tabaracci is one of the guys we talked to on Tuesday. Got to talk with him. He's just very grateful to be back on the field. He went through a back surgery last offseason, which we didn't know what the injury was. And Lincoln Riley kind of said, he had that back surgery, which it's obviously a scary injury. It's something that anytime you hear back surgery, it's a little worrisome. So, don't put too much on him. Still learning the offense. Played linebacker last year. I can't even say played linebacker because he was injured all year. He was like, man, I just want to be on the field and I just want to contribute in any way possible. He's not going to catch 100 balls next year, but if he can catch 15 and be a contributor, I think that's what he really wants to do. Get his feet wet with his team and just be back on the field, which he is in spring. He's gotten some praise from the coaches. Tabo, he's making some plays. He can do a lot of cool things with that position and that athleticism he brings from Utah. He's just very excited to be back on the field.
Yeah. I wanted to give a shout out in the chat to John Walker. He says it's 5:35 a.m. Tokyo time.
Whoa.
Can't miss. He said can miss, but I think he means can't miss tunnel vision. So.
Oh, my goodness.
I love the international. Yeah, international degenerates. I love that. That's great. I've got the Masters on, watching a little bit of that too. So, so good tight end talk there. We also heard. Last week we heard from Kyle McDonald, the running backs coach, but this week we had Darwin Barlow and Austin Jones, a couple of veteran, both transfer running backs, but the running back room looks a lot different. I mean, you got Rayleigh Brown who's doing more slot work now, but you get, Marshawn Lloyd coming in, the transfer from South Carolina. You got a couple stud freshmen in there, including Amarian Peterson, who looks like a dude, 6'2" or whatever he is, a big guy. It's a different looking running back room, Chris. So I think USC is going to be in good hands there, and it would be interesting to see what the competition is going to be like.
Running back room is just a giant mystery to me, but not in a bad way. I just don't know what. There's a lot of talent in there. There are a lot of veterans in there, a lot of young guys in there, a lot of dynamic ability in there. Raleek playing more of a slot, so kind of in between those two. But even if Raleek is just a full-time wide receiver next year, not saying he is, but I'm saying if he is moving over there for his main role in 2023, that's still 5 really good running backs in that room without Raleek, with the 2 freshmen, Darwin, and then the 2 lead guys who we presume is going to be fighting for that starting job, and Marshawn Lloyd and Austin Jones. Just a lot deeper, and it's a big question mark for me in terms of I don't know what it's going to look like. And again, not a bad thing. It's not like they have depth issues or talent issues. They can have, if you told me any of those guys were going to be the starter, I'd be like, okay, they must have had a really good spring or a really good fall, and they balled out. I think freshmen can play early at a running back. We know this. So a lot of competition. I think a lot of people are pegging Marshawn Lloyd to be the number one guy. I'm still in on Austin Jones. That's just me for right now. Remember, don't forget how he played during that stretch of games after Travis Dye went out. I know it did not end on the best note, but there was a 3-game stretch where he was a guy. He was a grown man running out there, and I have not forgotten that. So Austin Jones is still my pick to be the number one back, but I respect that Marshawn Lloyd, a DeMatha alum, is a guy who is very much competing for that role and could be the number one guy by the time we week 0 rolls around.
Mohammed's in there in the chat, and he says he's from Dubai, United Emirates. That's pretty cool, man. We got people all over the globe checking out.
I need one Australian person. If there's someone from Australia watching.
Down under?
Yeah.
And Mohammed said he's a USC fan, so that's very cool.
It's the next day in those countries, right?
Yes, I believe so. I believe
definitely in Australia. I know it's already like Saturday in Australia or something stupid.
No.
Something crazy like that.
There was also talk in the chat about who you're going to root for when USC plays Maryland, and like their fans.
We've
gone over this stuff.
We've gone over this, and the answer is Maryland. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I'm a journalist above all.
Yes.
And I will cover the game to the best of my abilities. Might I wear Maryland underwear under my clothes? Possibly. But who are you to judge me wearing that? That just may be the day of the underwear in my rotation. You don't know that.
Yeah.
I will be a journalist first above a football fan, and I will cover the team applicably as to the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
But if it's a College Park, all bets are off.
Yeah.
When the game is in Maryland, all bets are off.
And
we said we might do a bar takeover in College Park.
We could do that.
But we're looking too far ahead. We don't know the schedule. We don't know
any of that.
When we're going to College Park, Maryland, we don't know.
No cheering in the press box. We don't have rooting interests.
Well, I'm on the field, so
that's right. You can't cheer down there either.
I don't know. I don't know. They don't say nothing about wearing Maryland underwear. They don't say anything about that.
True.
So.
But if you're wearing like a photo vest, you're not supposed to be cheering for anybody. That's just our jobs as journalists. But
I only cheer for a good game.
We cover USC. It's honestly just in our best interest when USC does well. That's great. It helps all of it. So, and I started the site because I was a huge USC fan. But then once it becomes your job, it becomes now you're a journalist in this. Then you have to be objective. If we're covering a recruit, USC could get in trouble if one of us is trying to talk them into, going to USC. Like that's not our job. We're not supposed to be part of the process. We're just reporting on everything. So I know there was some discord in there, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Another guy, Cooper Lovelace, one of my dudes, he spoke to the media for the first time, I believe, as a Trojan on Tuesday. Did you got in on him a little bit, Chris?
Just at the end.
Yeah, he's so the personality is so good.
Well, I requested him, and I knew you interviewed him during the recruiting process.
Yeah,
very well spoken, very personable. Just a great on-camera interview, and I wasn't worried about him being shy in front of the camera. He's like that, and he fits LA well, and I know he's having a good time. He comes from Kansas. Didn't play that much football growing up, and then played his final year of high school, went to JUCO, and his life's changed. Coming to USC and being in California and doing all that. So very appreciative of the journey he's on. Will he contribute this year? That's a question. He's obviously a good-looking guy, 6'5", 320 pounds. That's a big offensive lineman. One USC could use. He's working at center and guard, but just a great teammate. I'm down there all the time for games, and he's a guy who's always first to get a guy ready to go in. When Mason Murphy's getting ready or Cortland Ford's getting ready, he's a guy, mimicking as defensive lineman to get their pass sets ready. He's the guy who's getting people up on the sideline, getting people hyped, and he stays late after practice. He's a good teammate, good locker room guy. So you hope he makes his way on the field and is able to maybe contribute on the two deep or be on special teams or whatnot. But just a really great guy who's really happy to be at USC.
For sure. You have those friends, if you're living in Southern California or you met people that move to LA from the Midwest and they're sort of overwhelmed, and there's the people that are just I'm going to go to Disneyland. I'm going to go to the mountains. I'm going to the beach. This is great. And he's just one of those people that just completely embraced the Southern California lifestyle. So good for him. Glad to, hopefully he gets to do some contributions to the team this year. Speaking of contributions and former players, we got to see some big names out at practice on Tuesday. So Norm Chow, I saw him walking in, so I stopped and said hello. But, I covered him. I covered him when he was at SC, but also he, when I was covering Fresno State, like on the side for the Bark Board, and he was the Hawaii head coach. So I was at Mountain West Media Days in Vegas and got to talk to him back then. And then I spoke at some quarterback club in right here in Redondo Beach, actually. And Norm was there, so he's been a part of that for a while. So he lives in Manhattan Beach, so I kind of see him around. But it was good to kind of bump into him. He was going to the Dodger game later on. Just want to come check out, see what things we're doing. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown was at practice early on, and then Uchenna Nwosu was there as well. Detroit Lions and Seattle Seahawks. But yeah, Uchenna was good. Local dude down the street in Narbonne High School. Good to see him.
Is Norm Chow just universally beloved by USC fans? Is he in that?
I think so. There was I don't know, it was a perceived feud or whatever, but at one point Pete Carroll sort of wanted to elevate Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, and I think what most of us thought was that when people talked well about USC and the offense, it was Norm Chow's offense coming in because he had a lot of success at BYU, then NC State, I believe it was, and then came to USC. And some people felt like Pete Carroll was hey, it's USC's offense, it's not Norm Chow's offense, and sort of wanted Sark and Lane to kind of do well. But they won championships when Norm was running the offense, and I've talked to him about the spread kind of stuff now, and how he says they were doing a lot of those concepts back then, what they were running with BYU and everything. So
you should get Norm on.
It'd be good to get Norm on. I like talking to him. He still looks good. I don't know, he's retired, but he could do whatever he wants. I think he's got a bunch of grandkids and stuff around now. But yeah, obviously amazing offensive mind. But to answer your question, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of USC fans I've run into that's oh, Norm Chow, don't like him. I think everybody seems to love him.
Okay.
For good reason.
The opposite of Graham Harrell, it seems. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I sort of when Graham came in, I was kind of all right, this could work. And then the more you kind of go, it's just
they'll always have the 4 100-yard receiver game against UCLA.
That was big.
They'll always have that.
That was a big
They'll
one.
always have that. They can't take that away from anybody.
True. That was a good receiver room. That included Drake London, right? So he was part of that, right? He was.
Yeah, Drake, Amon-Ra, Tyler Vaughns, and Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
I believe that was the 4. I love to bring it up. Clay Helton had Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra, and Drake London all on the same team together, and Tyler Vaughns all on the same team, all on the field at the same time.
Okay. Anything else from practice you wanted to bring up, Chris?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back. We got some questions. If you have any questions in the YouTube chat, I've starred a few of them that you've had. I will bring those up too. Back in a minute.
Was that a guitar? I was playing a guitar.
That might have been a guitar. I don't know. It's
Mandolin?
royalty-free music.
Oh, that's the instrument. It is.
We get dinged if you play too long of a real song. So
I learned this the hard way with there's live stream because I played Scorpion.
Yeah, you're playing.
You like a hurricane.
Yeah, you played too long of that, and then they ding you on YouTube when we put the videos up. They don't like that. So, okay, let me start with a voicemail, Chris.
Hey, Ryan. First of all, Thomas from Malibu. Just wanted to tell you what a great job you guys are doing. Love everything you're doing. Can you help me on one thing? I just got done watching Colin's interview online with Lincoln today. And is it just me, or does it look like Lincoln Riley's office has not been repainted or touched up since 1974? The windowsills are peeling paint. We can't do better than that. I mean, literally, it looks like the interview is taking place in a prison cell, for kind of luck. Can we get some word to USC to please spruce up Lincoln's office? That's it. Have a great day, and again, fight on.
Well, it can't be older than 2009 or 10. It's like that's when that building was, the John McKay Center was built. But to be fair, I think the building, and I talked to someone around USC who's working in that building for another sport. Yeah, out of date, needs upgrades, all
Needs
that.
paint.
Unfortunately, during the many bad years of athletic directors that just didn't know what they were doing phase of USC, like there's some cool stuff in the John McKay Center, but they literally built it for like the exact amount of people that Lane Kiffin had on his staff, which back then you didn't have recruiting analysts and all these other analysts and stuff. So there's not enough office space. I mean, that's one of the things Lincoln Riley said when he came in last year, like all the things you had to fix. Like, it was like, where does everyone go? There's not enough office space for all these people. So I would say some of the design was short-sighted. And, there's some similar things you could say about like with the Coliseum stuff. There's cool stuff, but there's other things you're like, you could have done that better. But yeah, I didn't notice the paint peeling kind of thing, but I don't know. Any issues with his office, Chris?
I mean, I didn't see the video, so I don't know. But hey, when the Big Ten check starts coming in, hey, that's a lot of money for some construction materials and some paint. Just saying.
But we see him when we do our Zoom calls with him. We get to see him in the office. He's got a bunch of USC stuff there. I mean, nothing looked like super egregious to me.
Look, we agree that they think they need upgrades.
For sure.
For sure. And I won't even bring up locker rooms, because if I bring up USC locker rooms, everyone's going to go into a tizzy.
Right.
They know this. It's on them now. It's
Yeah.
on the athletic department to cut that check.
I think within the next year, you're going to have some announcements. And like, it's funny, Lincoln Riley's hinted at some cool stuff coming like soon.
He keeps hinting.
He's hinted. Could it be about facilities? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let me pull up a YouTube comment or question. This is from Daniel. I'm hearing nothing but good stuff from Riley about the defense. Are we being tricked? The upgrade is undeniable, but is the impact already noticed?
I wouldn't say you're being tricked, but I would say that it's spring football. I mean, he's not going to say they suck. He's going to say the things that he likes that he's seeing. He's not giving everything that he doesn't like. I'm sure there are things he doesn't like right now, but I will say they are noticeably better looking in some areas. You got Anthony Lucas running around. You got a big Kyron Bars out there, Tackett Curtis, Mason Cobb. You don't have Eric Gentry out there right now, still recovering from that ankle surgery. So you got some things to like, but I'm not saying you're being tricked, but I'm saying like it's spring football. These are the things the coaches say all the time. Guys are looking good. They're hitting better. They're tackling better. We won't really know. The spring game maybe will give us a little bit more insight into that. And they have some scrimmage coming up. We'll learn more about that. But, we're really not going to know until we see it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
We see it in a game. I'm not saying San Jose State is going to give them that real test. They're not. So, but we can see some improvements in those games, and you won't really get to know until a Saturday.
Yeah, I think if you were going to talk about, I think I'm more optimistic on the defense than most.
Sure.
You're just listening to what Lincoln Riley has to say. You're listening to what players and coaches are saying, and you can buy it or you don't. And if you find out that they're going to have a 100th ranked defense or something again in major statistical categories, I'll say, nope, I was wrong. I bought in that, keeping the staff the same was good, and the upgrades were enough, and the focus on the defense and year 2 in the system and all that kind of stuff. I'm taking, I'm believing what Lincoln Riley is saying about all that stuff. And I know some fans are kind of skeptical, and they're not really. But yeah.
But you're more willing to listen to what Riley has to say than say a Clay Helton.
Right. Because I'm believing what he's saying, because he's said
Lincoln Riley.
things and they came true, and you saw it, like, oh, that makes sense. He's not saying things. You're at USC and you can have a lot of success, right? Like you could win the Pac-12 in 2017 and still look at the season and go, wow, that was lucky here. But against this team that was good, they didn't look good at all. And if Clay Helton says we're standing pat because we won the Pac-12 in 2017, it's sort of like, well, but you also got blown out in this game. And then there's reason to be skeptical. Like I'm not, as of now, there's no reason for me to be skeptical of what Lincoln Riley is saying because he's been right on all this stuff. So,
he's earned the right for you to listen to what he says. Okay, we'll agree with this. Maybe we won't outright, call it out, but we're willing to let that let wait and see the result instead of like just crying about it,
right?
For yelling, this is gonna be miserable. I mean, there's still people doing that for sure. Grinch is still number one on everyone's hate board right now, but we have to go through the season. You have to go through the season and the off season and see where it lands. They'll make some more moves in the transfer portal, specifically most likely on defense, where by the end of that portal window, you might be feeling a lot better about the defense.
Yeah, and I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt, and people can be skeptical, and that's fine. And I think if you're a USC football fan, you're used to just being skeptical and seeing the sky is falling for most things, and you would have been right for many, many years. But it's just one of those things where if you had like a favorite restaurant and you have a favorite waiter and you go in and everything he's recommended for you for the last few months has been spot on. Try the special today. It's been great, blah, blah, blah. And then, for you just to not believe him one day, like, well, why? He's earned that trust. Like maybe he's going to be wrong sometimes, but he's given you enough, specials that you're like, okay, I'm trying to trust what he's telling me. And for the most part, you're probably going to be right. So I think Lincoln Riley's earned that trust there. So if he's telling you, hey man, the defense is going to be a bunch better, I would believe it until it doesn't happen. And you can say, nope, you should have fired Grinch or whatever you want to do.
I know off topic, but I know people are like making the Chris is tired again joke because I'm rubbing my eye, but there's legitimately something in my eye bugging me.
Sorry, man.
I already know that there's people saying that, but I just want to stand for the record. The other times, yes, because I'm tired, but this time it's because there's something in my eye.
Do we have an eye wash station here? I should call HR. I probably need that.
Like in a chemistry building?
No, yeah, you need that sometimes. I think even in like workplaces, a lot of times you need it. Coach B says, what's up, my dudes? Any chance of a crossover episode with the Victory Podcast? Would love to see a joint episode with Keely, Cody, and Dion. Coach B.
Shout out to Coach B. Asks a lot of questions for the composite 2-star
yes.
recruit. So shout out to Coach B, and probably not because they think there is and when I say they, I mean USC compliance thinks we are a trash recruiting site
or something.
No, those are my words.
Keely would love to come on. I think Cody and Dion, they would all do that. But yeah, there's probably a USC roadblock there, which if we wanted to fight it, Keely's been there a little over a year now. Yeah.
It's just a headache.
It's like a headache. Like it's like a battle. Do you really want to fight this battle? I could go in and fight the battle and prove to them why that's stupid.
Ryan, get in there.
Yeah, but there's other fish to fry. But yeah, that'd be great. Obviously, it's great. I saw Keely Tuesday. We're still
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she just had a birthday
this week.
Happy birthday to Keely. Yeah, and congrats, Cody Kessler got married recently too. So that's pretty cool. We got a question from Tuscan Raider too. Love me Star Wars. Thoughts on the move to the Big Ten? I think most Trojans see it as bittersweet, but should be fun. Fight on, Tuscan Raider. I don't know.
Throwback question.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bittersweet.
No, it's definitely bittersweet for some.
You think it is?
You're losing the tradition of the Pac-12.
Yeah,
it's a dumpster fire right now, but still, tradition is what makes college football. College football, it's what makes it different from the NFL.
True.
And I think that's where the bitterness is coming from, just like leaving that for a new thing. When Maryland left for the ACC, it was better. Or left the ACC, it was bittersweet because like my whole life, Maryland's been the ACC. You know, these rivalries, Duke, UNC, blah blah blah, Virginia, was all that. But needed to make the move for us. Needed to do that breakup for us so we can grow. So yeah, the money helps. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be great for football. But we still don't know how it's all going to look.
Right.
And the college football landscape is just changing. This media rights deal that's dragging on, we talked about in the podcast of Champions earlier today. All that stuff's going to impact how things go. So I'm really curious to see how it all pans out. But I think a lot of USC fans are, in favor. But there's still a lot of details left, and depending how the details fall, like it could be a little worse than you thought, or maybe it's a little better than you thought too. So, but the way college football is changing, like to not be able to be in the same neighborhood as your peers, that Alabama's and Ohio State's, you need to be in that neighborhood if you want to compete for championships. So I don't know if USC had any choice there. Our buddy Manfred.
money bags. Give me the cha-ching.
He did.
Give me the cha-ching.
Do I have that? Or is
Yeah,
it?
you got it.
Nice. Thanks, Manfred.
Wait, what did he do?
He donated $4.99, so thanks. It's not a show we usually get donations from, but Manfred's around. He's throwing money around. I love it. But he says, "Who is Sarah Trevino, and is she related to my boy 10K, who's soon to be 20K?" So when speaking of copyright, Tunnel Vision, when we first created the show and Keeley and everything was on, we used Foreigner's Double Vision song as like a theme song, and it was, I forget who, but anyway, yeah. So it was like to the tune of Double Vision, but then our theme song for the show, but then that would get dinged, and we couldn't use it. So Sarah Trevino I think it was her master's at USC, the girlfriend of a poster on the Peristyle actually that we got connected with. And she composed our new Tunnel Vision intro song. So we thank her for doing that. So it is a original piece of music that was composed for our show. And now we don't get dinged for copyright infringement. But she is not related to Chris.
Just to be clear, you're saying there is a Peristyle member who is dating a cilantro girl? Also goes by the last name Trevino? Is that what you're saying?
I assume she's a cilantro girl, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The USCFootball.com metaverse is fascinating, filled with a lot of cilantro.
Yeah. Thanks, Manfred, for the donation. We appreciate that. Cameron in the chat says, who has the most pressure in 2023? Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch, or the USC roster?
Alex Grinch.
Duh. Yeah. All the pressure's on him. It's not on the roster.
But because it's on Alex Grinch, it's sort of on Lincoln Riley because he doubled down and brought Alex Grinch in.
But no one's going to like...
It's still on Grinch, but you could talk me into Lincoln Riley because of the double down to bring Grinch back.
Yeah, but I think like they're going to score a zillion points again. And so you're probably going to be like, yeah, Lincoln, that didn't work out so well. But you're still really good at what you do. So you can move on now. So, but I think... You can say it's on Lincoln Riley too, but really on Alex Grinch to perform. For the defense to just be better. If it's a top 50 defense, like last year, they're probably in the playoff because they weren't in the top 100. So that's kind of where they are. Thanks for that one. We got an email from Nelson. Hey, guys, is the next Heisman winner from USC currently on the roster or committed to USC?
Currently on the roster or committed to USC?
So I think not like either or. I think will the next Heisman winner be in the next 4 or 5 years, I guess.
Or playing at a different school.
Yeah, so if they're on the roster now or a current commit.
I'm going to say no to the current commit because it's only one commit, and it's, or at least in 2024, it's Joey Olsen. So I'm throwing out 2024, and Dylan Rayola is not committed to USC.
Okay.
In terms of this current class, your Zachariah Branch is like a Heisman caliber kind of guy if it all pans out. And then Malachi Nelson, obviously, are on the current roster. I would say yes.
I'm gonna say yes too.
It would be on the roster right now.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley has a proven track record of whoever's his quarterback is going to be in contention. You got guys like Raylick Brown and Zachariah Branch, that some dudes that could just blow up and be, Reggie Bush type of guys. Not direct comparison, but like someone that would be in the Heisman talk because they're so dynamic of a player, or Caleb Williams wins again, or like Malachi Nelson or Miller Moss or whoever wins, there ends up being USC. Whoever's USC's quarterback has a good shot of winning the Heisman Trophy. So I'll say, yeah, I think they'll win. That basically say you think they're going to win one in the next 3 years or so, and I think they can. So I'll say yes. Let's do. Let's see, Surfer Boy. 3,000. Any thoughts on the impact Coach Sanders is making in Boulder? So he's talking about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. And are they really a threat to the Pac-12 in 24-25? I personally don't think so, but what do you guys think?
I don't know what to make of Coach Prime. Got a lot of talent coming in, but it's not Jackson. It's Jackson State, right? Or Jacksonville State. It's not Jackson State. Whatever. It's not JSU. This is still a Power 5 conference. We'll see what that looks like. There are growing pains when you get a roster that won 0 games last year. They win 1 game. They won 1 game, right?
One game.
They beat
Cal.
Cal, right? We were watching that game together.
Can't believe they won.
Where were we watching that?
Was that in Palo Alto? No, that was.
Shotgun was there, right? Whatever. Well, we're on the road for somewhere. We're on the road for somewhere. Won 1 game. You still brought some good guys, some really good players in. But, still can be some growing pains. And, you're not going to have the inherent talent advantage over every other team that you play on the schedule. So I think there'll be growing pains this year, and we'll see how that plays out with the team. Could they be they're more of a threat certainly in 2024 and 2025 than this year. Absolutely. I don't think they're going to have some sort of Lincoln Riley season where they go 11 wins, anything like that. So I'm not really sure what to make of Coach Prime. Good recruiter. Won some games at Jackson, JSU. So I don't know what to make of them right now.
Yeah. No, I think they're going to have success. I think it's going to be a little harder because they could get discarded Group of 5, Power 5 players at a lower division. But he's proven he can bring in talent, and so it's just harder to really out talent a sort of weaker league. You can get talent similar to the rest of the league, but I don't know if he's going to be able to out talent what's remaining in the Pac-12. But he's also proven to be a good coach. I mean, he's done really good things. So USC will be gone, I think, by the time if Colorado is good, USC will be gone by then. But yeah, I think he can have them at a pretty high level. But
USC will still have, I think, an inherent recruiting advantage just because it's USC and they're in the Big Ten. And I don't know where Colorado's going to fall. Yeah. Deion is still going to get players, though. They're still going to get some good guys as long as he's there because he's Deion Sanders. But I think USC still has an inherent advantage being in California, being in SoCal, being USC, going to a top 2 conference, and you're going to play all those national games and play at all these big stadiums and stuff like that. Yeah. They'll still have that advantage.
Ronnie Gonzalez in the chat is a little upset with you, Chris. The degenerate saying that the degenerate talk is insulting, not funny. We're just making jokes. It's not we love the fact that people are in there. It's more of a shot at us than you guys to say that why would these people want to watch what we're doing in the middle of the day on a Thursday? It's more of self-deprecating humor, in my opinion, than saying that you're watching it, you're a degenerate. We're just basically saying our audience would you have to be a degenerate because why would you want to watch us? Because we're no good. I think that's more of the joke. If that's correct, Chris.
Yeah, and I'm gonna leave it there before I say something really mean.
Another cilantro boy. I think we got a Ronnie Gonzalez there. So
that's true. I don't open fire on my own.
We got one last one, and then we'll let you guys go. Oscar Huerta.
Another cilantro boy.
Yeah. Who's your? I think he means your breakout players on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. He says breaker out.
I'm going to assume that
breakout players.
Offense, it's got to be someone who was on the roster last year and not like a true freshman.
Yeah.
So we'll go. It's really hard to pick Rajon Davis just because the linebacker room is so stacked right now.
Yep.
But he would be a good one. I think we could also go with Zion Branch is a really good one, even though it's kind of cheating because he didn't play last year, but he was on the team. Zion Branch has been my breakout player every time anyone has asked me, so
yeah,
I have to go Zion Branch. And then offense, that's also kind of interesting. I think I really just want to go Carson Tabarachi or Lake McCree. I know Duce Robinson is there, obviously, but, Lake, once I think he gets the chemistry down, can be a good weapon for this thing. I know Deuce is Deuce, yes, but I think Lake can still find a role and be more productive than he was last year.
I'm going to go 2 transfers. I'm going to say Marshawn Lloyd at running back. And I'm going to say Keon Bars in the middle of that defensive line. A couple of transfers, a couple of veterans, been around college football for a while. I think they'll both be breakout players.
I mean, they both weren't on the roster last year, but it doesn't matter. You make your own rules.
Well, so you were saying you were only picking people that were on the roster last year.
And you were doing
I'm just
guys
saying
who weren't on the roster last year.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he doesn't say.
Live by your own rules, Ryan.
He didn't say anything about being on the roster.
He didn't. It's an open interpretation.
But if I'll go with your rules, I'm going to do.
No, don't go by my rules.
Brendan Rice.
Stick to your guns.
Brendan Rice. I think he's going to have a big year. And I'll go Jacoby Covington.
Okay, I like those.
You like those? Following your rules.
You ready to do our screen grab?
Yeah. Oh, what should our screen grab be today?
So I just got new prescription sunglasses for the first time.
Okay.
It's the first time getting sunglasses. So I want Ryan to have the happiest disposition look of his life.
I would be happy. Do you want me to put on some sunglasses?
Sure, you can put on some sunglasses.
Okay, I have some.
We're like the Blues Brothers. I just want you to have the happiest sunglasses look of all time, and I'm not going to be having it.
All right. I think that works.
I think that works.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep these on because now
It's
I can see.
marvelous for the podcast audience, and we're just posing for the YouTube screenshot. I think I like that little tradition now. We pose for the screenshot.
Look, when I first started this show, you told me you could think of something to say at the end of every show.
Right.
And I never did it because everything I came up with sounded lame. Like, would I just say the same thing? Would I say something different every time? At the end of my podcast with Composite, we just do the little sound bite from Def Leppard Sucks from the crap. What's the show? Joe Dirt. Here, now that we're doing it live against my will.
Def Leppard sucks!
Yes. Now that we're doing this live, and I'm sick and tired of you using the absolute worst looking shot of me for screen grabs that you put on Twitter, I decided to take matters in my own hands.
Yes.
And we'll do a pose one every time so they're different every time. And it's just a little tradition as we move through this live show. It's just having a little bit of control of the craziness that is live show.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. All right, well, that'll wrap things up. You know what I forgot? Oh, my gosh, because we had Trayvon Patterson on.
You're right.
Trader Joe's, our sponsor. My apologies. I was saving it to the end. What's the best? Save the best for last. Yeah, big fan of Trader Joe's. I was out in the desert this weekend, Chris, checking out a place out there. I had some friends from college. We posed in my house 25 years ago. We reposed again, but what I had to do, I had to stock up a bunch of snacks. Trader Joe's, got my Prosecco, got those little pineapple juices that I like to get to make my mimosas with them, wine and cheese, the pretzels with the peanut butter inside.
Sure.
I made some poke from some of the fish that I caught. The edamame I like there. They got the shelled edamame. Refrigerated section. Make sure you go check that out. I'm so sorry that we had a
You
special
just
guest
lost
for
the sponsorship.
5 years down the
You
drain.
just-
No,
how dare you? How dare you?
but it's good. Check it out. Actually, it's funny. I sent, one of our writers. What's it called? I sent out a Trader Joe's gift card that we had given to everyone. One of the writers lives in Arizona, so he didn't get it until Trevor Booth didn't get it until recently. But he said, "Oh, I go to Trader Joe's with my girlfriend all the time," so he appreciated the gift card. So it's good. Yeah, who doesn't like Trader Joe's? Everybody loves Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's, but I forgot to talk about Trader Joe's until the end of the show. But sorry about that. All right, well, that's gonna wrap things up. For Chris Trevino, I am Ryan Abraham. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.